I've spent the last few days working on the player movement for my game, and this was a different change of pace than my first project. My first project was an arcade-style game where you collect coins while avoiding the enemy X's and other shapes. But when I was making that project, I didn't know anything about Godot or even game development in general. I wasn't thinking so much about how it felt to move as the player because I was more focused on the fact that the player was moving at all. That alone was a massive win for me to get anything working, but now that doesn't cut it anymore. And the next game that I have in mind relies heavily on the movement feeling just right, because if it doesn't, this one has the potential to get really frustrating. So, what's the game? Well, you see, I'm lost when it comes to 3D animation, but I really want to make a 3D game. My solution to this? I needed something that doesn't have a walk animation, and then it hit me. If the main character was a balloon, I could just tilt the player in the direction that it's moving, and I think it would look fine. The goal would be for the player to navigate the balloon around different obstacles that are threatening to pop it. But what's going to propel the balloon forward? I guess a rocket booster works. Now that we have the model, let's start working on the movement. The first thing is to make sure we have some rotation in the direction that we want to move. I did this by taking the current rotation values of the player and changing them based on the direction the player is holding. So, if the player is holding right, the balloon will rotate in that direction until it reaches the maximum rotation angle that I specified, which the number that I ended up settling on is 40 degrees. Now, this is supposed to be a balloon moving through the air, so there shouldn't be any sudden stops, because even if the rocket booster turns off, all of your momentum is still heading in that same direction, unless you hit a wall or something. This is where how the controls feel really becomes important, because the last thing that I want is for the controls to feel unresponsive. To help with this, I made a friction value, so the higher I make this number, the more friction is applied to the balloon when you let go of the controls, and the quicker the balloon comes to a stop. Now we're starting to get somewhere, but there's something else that I think we're missing. To give the player more movement options, I like the idea of having two different movement speeds. I still want the rocket booster to be the main option, but if the player only needs to move slightly to one direction, I think it would be nice if that was possible without being forced to tap the booster over and over again. For this, I came up with the idle speed for when you're pressing a direction without holding the boost button, and of course, the boost speed for when you are holding the boost button. This is already starting to feel pretty good to me, but there's a question in game development that I think is always worth asking. Do the controls feel good because they're fun, or just because I'm getting used to them? At this point, I've already been tweaking different values like the acceleration, the friction, and now two different max speed values for an unhealthy amount of time. And so how this little balloon is moving is starting to feel pretty familiar to me. Maybe I should think about letting someone else test it out. Anyway, there's something else that I started noticing. Sometimes I'm picking up speed in one direction, but then I realize that I'm going too fast and I want to stop. To do that, what you need to do is aim your rockets in the opposite direction to slow yourself down, but currently it doesn't feel as quick as I would like or expect, and it usually leads to me slamming right into a wall. I would jump back into the code and tweak the acceleration and friction values again, but I already really like where they are otherwise. I need to be able to adjust the speed separately when the character is moving in one direction and the player is trying to move in the opposite direction. To fix this, I created a new variable called brake power. This is a number that gives the player a little extra power specifically in those scenarios when they're trying to brake or turn around. If the player is just moving around like normal and not trying to turn around, then this number isn't used. After testing it out, this little change feels huge for the movement, and I'm really happy with how much nicer the balloon feels to control. The more I move around, the more I really want to try out these controls on a real level. Until I do that, I won't be able to know if the controls really are good how they are, or if they still need some tweaking. To be honest, I bet that I'll be adjusting these numbers for a while, but also, I'm really happy with how it feels right now. There's still a lot of work ahead of me, but it's also really satisfying that the core of this small game, which is the movement, is turning out to be exactly what I envisioned when I first thought of this game. I think it'll be interesting to see what this turns into, and I'm going to try and keep the scope small, but no promises. I can't wait to start working on the levels next, and I already have some ideas for different kinds of obstacles to navigate through. But that will be a topic for a different video. Thanks for staying until the end. I'd love to hear about the projects that you're working on down in the comments. Also, if you're a game dev looking for a supportive community, feel free to check out this channel's Discord with the link in the description. It's a great place to get inspiration, share your projects, and get feedback no matter your skill level. I hope to see you over there, and keep learning.